Welcome back to episode 19 of the Beggars Canyon Boys. Oh my God, we got video going this time. It's a brave new world.
Yeah, you'll be able to see the expressions on our faces as we make kind remarks and mean, cruel remarks about Star Wars.
Yeah, I hope that this doesn't influence the parasocial relationship that so many of our fans have with us. I hope they don't turn on us now that they know what we look like, but
I think it'll be a big benefit.
True. I'll probably get a lot more female listeners after this one.
Yeah.
That's what you meant?
Yeah, that is what I meant.
Okay, cool.
Come on, two handsome men talking about Star Wars, that attracts women like bears to salmon.
Oh, salmon. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, it's been a while since we recorded because the holidays and some illness and some travel things and all that. But how have you been doing? How was your New Year's? Any important life updates to give the audience?
No important life updates that I want to share with these folks. Maybe talk to me after and I'll tell you some fun stuff, but it's frankly none of their goddamn business. Okay, we're here to talk wars, specifically Star, and nothing else. They don't need you. We don't need this parasocial relationship to develop. I'm sorry, I'm being so mean. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I didn't mean that you had to divulge personal details about your life. Just if there was anything that you wanted to share, that's all.
Just that I love everyone, and I think everyone should put out kindness in the world.
That's nice.
What about you?
Yeah, I guess I agree with that in general.
You guess?
Okay, well, I think there's something to be said for like forcing kindness when it's not really there, or not genuine. A lot of people here, Hollywood, right? A lot of fake nice going on. I know you probably not you don't remember what it's even like over here anymore, but
I've been stranded over here for too long now.
Yeah. No, people should be nice. You're right. I don't have too many life updates, but I did get some epic Star Wars presents for Christmas. I wish I could show, but 2 of them are not here yet because they're being shipped from my parents' house. But so yeah, I'll show it next time. I guess I won't spoil what it is. Well, one of them I won't spoil because it's cool visual. The other one, I got the Outer Rim board game been out for a little while, but man, it's cool. It's a fun game. And then, most relevant to stuff that we've talked about on the show, give me one moment.
Sure. Wish he was prepared, but this is sort of typical for Jackson. He's never prepared, never has the things ready when they need to be ready. And look at him pulling the calendar up.
I will not know what you said there until I'm editing it later, but okay. Look, Daniela got me this for Christmas. 1997 calendar.
Yeah, I just got that. Yeah.
You just got this?
No, I was like, oh, cool, a calendar that I saw 1997 at the bottom. I was
you like, got this too?
No.
Yeah, 1997, the dates line up with 2025. So, this was coming out when the special editions were coming out, which is very close to where we are. But this is a concept art calendar, the Ralph McQuarrie concept art that we have talked about before.
Oh, so good. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. It shows like the art, then a still from the movie that's based on the art, and then throughout the days, it's got little things. Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, that's very cool. That was a really nice gift she got you.
Yeah, it's pretty. I thought that was pretty cool.
But also, isn't Shadows of the Empire the N64 game? Didn't that come out in 1997? Or is that
Uh,
96 still?
I think it's in 96. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is for sure, actually. Yeah.
I only was thinking about it because I was like, man, we're at 96, getting to 97. That's the year I was born. Like, we've consumed all of this Star Wars content now that like it precedes my life. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy.
It is crazy. God, I wish I could say I was born in 1997, but it would be a lie. I was born in 1998, so and
Mhm.
nothing special happened that year.
Hey, I'm sure it was a good year.
The special editions were 97, and the Phantom Menace was 99. My birth year means nothing.
Books in 98.
Yeah, probably some
There you
books.
go.
Um, maybe a game or two. Uh, all right. Someone just walked past my window. Maybe a worker or something.
Or a big squirrel.
Yeah, like a big squirrel. Okay, let me go put this back real quick so we can just have it up in the background. Oh, yeah, but there's the legend himself.
The man, the myth, the artist.
All right, be right back.
Okay.
Don't say any mean things about me.
I don't think it's mean to call out that. Why does he really need to go add that to the background again? It's like, it's not like the background is that creative. It's all just a white background, really.
I see the mouth moving.
Oh, that's just jaw stretches.
Okay. Okay.
You never do that?
No, not really. All right. Well, are you ready to crack it open and get into the content of the day?
I am. What? Sorry, I may cough for once in a while. I am a little sick, as was a bit forementioned. What makes most sense to hop into first here of this expansive multimedia Star Wars project?
That's a good question. I guess we'll just give a little overview of what it is first. So today we're talking Shadows of the Empire, a 1996, like Ryan said, multimedia project, an initiative from Lucasfilm and Bantam Books and LucasArts, and it crosses all media, I guess, except for movies. So the idea for the project was just to create a story or a multimedia Star Wars project that would have all of the pre-production type of stuff done for it that would be done for a movie, except, a lot less budget because there's no movie, but we'll do everything else. We'll have a book, we'll have comic books, we'll have video games, we'll have toys, we'll have trading cards. We'll even have an orchestral soundtrack to go along with the story. So yeah, pretty much everything except for a movie or a TV show, I guess, could be the other thing. But yeah, it's a bit of I think it's really cool in theory, and some of the execution is really cool too. But probably like one of the most interesting things about it is just that each of the main things, like I would say the book, the comics, and the video game are the three main things. They all tell the same story with slight variations between them, but they all have like pretty majorly different focuses on like who are the main characters, what perspective the story is being told from, what events are focused on and actually shown, all that. So that's really cool, I think. Yeah. Any opening thoughts about the project as a whole?
I really enjoyed this. I didn't read the book like you did, so I don't know about that. But like when it comes to the comic and the game, was that it? Yeah, comic and game. I really enjoyed those. I thought it was cool, and I like that this takes place. This is the first time we've had something take place in between one of the movies, right?
Yep.
I was like, and it felt like it fit pretty perfectly too. I was like, oh yeah, it does make sense to tell a little story between episode 5 and 6, is it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
I agree. I think that's very cool. And when I was a kid, like it's really scratching a lot of itches that I had as a kid and still have now. But, like when I was a kid, like and Luke shows up in Return of the Jedi with the green lightsaber. Like, I'm like, okay, where did that come from? How did he build it? What was going on? And then Leia shows up in like the Bausch bounty hunter costume. And it's like, who's that? Why is Lando in Jabba's palace? Yeah, lots of little just things that are touched upon, which I think would have really excited me when I was younger. And still do now, but just maybe a little bit less because I guess there's not as much like mysticism or untouchableness to all of the material. Like, I guess when I was a kid, I would have just accepted all of it as like truth, you know, or
Sure.
And I guess it is in the continuity, but I don't know. You know, it's a little more complicated than that because all the stories are slightly different, and it's like, well, George Lucas, you know, it's not really his idea or whatever. But anyway, we're getting
It's a funny, like super slight dialogue difference in them, and I was like, I wonder, because when I read this dialogue, it's just one line in the comic, and I was like, that sounds kind of funny. And then they changed it in the N64 game, and it's that like space biker gang. And I'm sorry to be going so ahead,
dude, the
like,
swoop gang.
Yeah, the swoop gang that's like hunting down Luke or whatever. And they're like, first to blow his bones is what they say in the comics. First to blow his bones gets like 500 whatever credits or whatever. And I was like, that does sound a little odd. And then in the game, they changed it to first to blast his bones. And I was like, okay, that's better. But
yeah, that's better. That's funny. I didn't notice that, but so I guess more general things like the main ideas for this were to create a story. George Lucas's input, at least, was to create a story focused on the criminal underworld of Star Wars. So I'm wanting to expand upon that, you know, aspect of it that is touched upon in the movies. And
I just love crime.
Hey, I mean, do you think you would probably be Jix if you were anyone in Star Wars?
Hey, man, I don't hate that. Jix was cool. He was, especially in his like little solo comic, he was annihilating people
he's
left and right.
He's really powerful.
Super funny moment that I love that they added in there in that comic is when they're like bailing to leave at the end, and he's like telling one of the droids, like the governor droid or whatever, he's like, hey, can you fly this? And they're like, can't you fly? And he's like, why does everyone think I can do everything?
He's like, I can fly speeders, I can shoot guns, but no, I don't know how to do everything. Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome. So yeah, the George Lucas wanted to set it between the first two movies, and then he got convinced by, I don't know exactly who, but by the people working on the project that between the second two movies would be more like fertile ground for storytelling, I guess. And I agree with that. I think there's a lot more, like stuff that would happen between, well,
it's hard to imagine what they would do between the first and second, but I don't know. It could have been cool, I guess. But yeah, I can't think of a good like grounding for it.
I mean, we'll see some stories that take place in between the first two movies later. And then we already did have that one Splinter of the Mind's Eye or whatever, the Louise Simonson, or no, that's the book. Do you remember the Louise Simonson miniseries that we read?
Yeah, but I remember disliking it mostly.
Oh yeah, no,
unfortunately,
it wasn't amazing.
I'm a big Wheezy fan, but that's early Wheezy, I guess.
River of Chaos, that's what it was.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, and there were just these concepts of, okay, let's make a character who's like this super powerful criminal mastermind, leader of the underworld type of guy. And then let's make another guy who is like the bodyguard of Luke Skywalker, I guess was the original idea for. And these turned into Prince Shizor and Dash Rendar, kind of the two big new characters of this, other than Jix, of course. We can't forget about him. But and like Guri and all. There's a lot of characters, but
Is that how it's pronounced? Gizor?
uh, Shizor, I think.
Gizor.
Yeah, that's what they say. And I forget if it's in cutscenes from the video game or because there was a PC version of the N64 game later that had like slightly more cutscenes, barely anything, but and then also in like an audiobook or something, they say Shizor.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say in the N64 game, there was no there's no voice acting for the cutscenes.
No, yeah, you're right. But they had like a PC port later that had very short like FMV scenes with a little bit of voice acting. But
okay.
So yeah. He's like a green reptile man. Okay, well, I got the toys of Dash Rendar up here. Let me share my screen with you here.
Dash Rendar is cool, but also he's kind of just like, to me, he's like Han Solo in a slightly different flavor. It's kind of funny that they're like, okay, we can't use Han Solo between these movies, so we'll have.
Okay, I'm sorry. I went to share my screen and I had to update, and I just stupidly clicked on the thing that said, "Oh, restart Chrome." Okay, we're back. We're still recording on everything. Okay,
Sweet.
Okay, sorry about that. You were talking about how it's funny that Dash Rendar is just kind of like their Han Solo stand-in since he can't be around for the actual thing.
He's frozen in carbonite at the time.
This is true. So, okay, so let me. Well, there's Dash Rendar.
I can't see him yet, but since you're recording on your end, you can see him. I'm sure this is good for people.
What the heck?
Oh, do I gotta click watch stream?
Maybe.
Oh my god, seeing multiple versions of us. It's like a look into the multiverse. Whoa. I gotta say, he looks a little more dashing in the video game than he does here.
Yeah, I agree. They do him a little dirty.
Almost looks like his jaw was broke here, and it's like wired shut at the moment or something.
We got
a little Dash Rendar through the wire.
Yeah, for real. He could have died in that accident because this must be heaven. Yeah, there's Shizor.
Did Shizor have that accessory ever that we saw? That like shield?
I don't think so in the comics. In the book, he like fights a lot more. He's like a martial arts master.
Now, Jackson, is this your first experience? Well, is this your first experience with this character, Shizor?
I have read these comics before and played the video game before when I was a lot younger. So
I guess my secret question in there is because at least in the comic, we don't explicitly see him die. I mean, you can kind of presume, or does he escape through a pod at the end? I don't remember.
Well, so apparently, he goes up into his skyhook at the end, and then that whole thing gets destroyed.
Please don't blow up my skyhook.
Yeah. So apparently he does die there. And then Dash also dies at the end, but very unceremoniously in the comic book. Well, in the book, it's like very like confirmed that he for sure dies in the novel. And then in the video game, they're like, no, he actually lives. But
yeah, anyway. But which we're getting ahead, but very funny justifications there because he's like, well, we didn't get hired for this part of it, so we weren't going to get a reward anyway. I don't know if that's explicitly true.
Yeah.
Like, you can still be rewarded for like doing great deeds that you weren't explicitly hired for. And then he's like, two, and isn't it kind of awesome to be alive and be a martyr though? And it's like,
yeah. What? He's like, let them all be sad. It's, but it's so funny because his motivations throughout the whole thing. He's really not a great character in terms of like characterization. He looks cool and he's a badass, but like beyond that, there's not really anything to him. But in the comic and in the book, he's constantly saying stuff like, "Oh, like." They're like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Like, this isn't part of the job." And he's like, yeah, you know, I got to earn my keep. And then like other times he'll be like, "Nope, I'm not doing that. That's not part of my job." Okay.
Yeah, that's true. There's literally the moment where Luke's like, "Do you want to come with us?" And he's like, "Yeah." He says that exactly. Like, "Yeah, I gotta earn my keep otherwise." But I guess that doesn't apply in certain circumstances. Then
the parameters of like what his actual job that he's being paid for is pretty unclear. But anyway, I guess we pretty unorganized with this beginning, but we can break down.
I'm sorry. I feel like it's always my fault because I want to jump to like moments that I remember.
Me too. It's not your fault. It's really not, dude. So let's break down the individual components of this. Yeah, let's do the comic first since we both read the whole comic. What were your thoughts on this?
It's pretty fun. I like it for the most part. My only real issue with it, I will say, is like, is it me or did like the Princess Leia and Shizor like attraction stuff feel like really awful? And I hate continuously seeing Leia, a character that I really do like and want to. And like in the moment she's had where she's super cool, I'm like, yes, this is what we want. But I don't know if this is going to be like a 90s thing and it changes as we move forward. But it's like every time we get some Leia focus, it gets like weirdly sexualized in undertones or just like in the overtones of it. And I'm like, can we do something else, please? It's like, I don't want to watch like Leia like get enamored by this guy's reptilian scent or whatever.
Yeah, like being drugged essentially. I agree that I think that may be the most overtly sexual thing we've seen in anything so far. Obviously people have been sexualized from their costumes and there's been, you know, like strippers and stuff like that. But this, I don't think we've ever had like characters actually addressing it. And
he's straight up like, take off your clothes.
Yeah. He's saying, take your clothes off. It's so weird. And I get like he's the bad guy and he's a creep, but like the way Leia handles it, I don't know. It's just not really, at least in the comic book, it's not really well set up or paid off in any kind of way.
Is that in the book at all?
Yeah, it is. And it's pretty much mentioned very early on in the book. There's a lot more Shizor like chapters from his perspective in the book. And he talks all the time about how, you know, women are super boring to him. He can have any woman he wants, and then he'll just kind of like buy them a house and pass them on and be like, "Hey, get out of my life. And if you try to bother me again, I'll freaking kill your family," and stuff like that. So it is at least like set up at the beginning of the book that he would probably do that to Leia, and he has like those pheromone powers, but it's so weird in the comic how like she gets enamored with him, then leaves, then comes back the second time and is just like, now that I know that you're doing this, it doesn't work anymore, and I'm gonna kick you in the balls. And yeah,
it felt like a worse version of her choking out Jabba a little bit, you know.
Yes, I agree.
So I got to mention that up front as a negative, but I will say two big things I liked about this comic. One, Darth Vader. Boom. Love seeing my man Vader show up again. And I think he's well utilized here. And he's not in it so much, but like the moments that he's in it, I think are pretty in character for Vader and are cool. Like I like when Jix breaks into his place or whatever. And he's like, you bypassed my security. And then he's like, say sorry. And he starts like choking him for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jix does that again later anyway. And Vader's mad again. But I guess later on he has a little gift for him.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Vader moments in this too. It's so, God, it's hard for me to keep track of which things were in what because Jix is like barely in the book at all and not in the video game at all. But he's like maybe like the second or third main character of the comic book. And
yeah,
but I agree. I really like, so, okay, I guess we didn't even really say like what the plot of this is, but it is essentially Shizor is trying to play both sides of the rebels and the Empire, manipulate Darth Vader and the Emperor and the Rebel Alliance. It's pretty convoluted and doesn't really make much sense what his actual plan is, but you know, he leaks the second Death Star plans to the rebels, and for the Empire, he provides transport of, you know, the goods that are needed to build the second Death Star and all this.
Mm-hmm. And ships for Endor, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
And his goal is to kill Luke Skywalker and blame it on Vader so that the Emperor thinks that Darth Vader was conspiring against him and that he will get rid of Vader and that Shizor will be like the second most powerful person in the galaxy, I guess.
Ooh.
And yeah, Vader is really cool in this, and those are also my favorite moments from the novel. We actually get chapters, or at least sections of chapters, from Vader's perspective, and it's really cool to get narration from inside his head because he's just talking about how he hates this Shizor guy and he knows that he's like being manipulated, but he just has to prove it and everything. And then, you know, certain reflections about Obi-Wan and Luke and everything. And obviously they're not really allowed to get too into that because that was a big off limits thing, was talking too much about Darth Vader's past and everything. But I think it's maybe the first time we've gotten his perspective. Though that
well,
was
I will
really
say
cool.
it was pretty annoying though to see like Palpatine, who I understand maybe is not the most reasonable character, but I don't think he's not an intelligent guy, just immediately sort of be like taking Shizor's side on things and like positioning Vader in like a almost like lower tier to him momentarily. It was like, Vader's your dude. Like he's the man. Come on, what are you doing? The Shizor guy is like a random Black Sun gang leader. Like why are we putting so much faith in him?
Yeah, I don't know, but also at the end they're like, oh yeah, the Emperor was aware of Shizor's betrayals the whole time, and it's like, okay, so, but what does that mean though for the story? Like, it doesn't actually matter whether he knew or not. So yeah, I guess. Well, I'll let you, if you had any other comic book thoughts. I would like to hear them. I don't.
Well, I will say, this is they're doing a lot to save the Boba Fett is not cool allegations here, because Boba Fett was pretty cool in this comic too. Actually, he was getting some nice work done. You know what's funny? You disagree. You sent me on the things that I had to read. That one thing was the pop-up comic.
Yeah.
Was just their fight again. It was like exactly from the first comic.
No,
so I was like, this is not a Marvel Unlimited. I don't know how to get this. So I went and I pirated it. Oops. And it's just, the pirated version was just the scans of it, like seeing, but I could see they were kind of cut out, but it was exactly the same thing. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh God, why did I even seek this out?
I'm sorry. I meant to even text you about that and be like, hey, this, you don't need to worry about that. But I kind of forgot. Yeah, it's probably a lot cooler in real life when stuff's actually popping up. But yeah, Uh,
I don't know, man. I like Boba Fett a lot more in this, and I do. There's a funny moment when he gets captured by like all one of the other bounty hunters that are a few of them who are like, and then Boba Fett boards their ship or whatever under their fire. And the guy's like, Boba Fett, what are you gonna do? Like, come on, you can't convince me like you're hot shit or whatever. And I was thinking, I was like, I would be this guy because of everything that I've seen of Boba Fett so far. I'd also be like, this guy's not impressive
yeah,
whatsoever. Like, and then Boba Fett just like clicks a button and the floor gives out from under them,
yeah,
and that guy
yeah.
gets wrecked.
I I agree that he does do more to establish himself as a badass in this, in a way, but it's also, I think his characterization's weird in this, where he's like, I get that's another big difference between the comic and the novel. Is this the comic was written by fuck, I just had it up. The comic was written by John Wagner, who wrote the other like Boba Fett one shot that we read, The Bounty on Barkuda.
Oh yeah,
And he's like the guy who wrote or co-created Judge Dredd and all that. And I thought it was sorry, the thing I was saying, the focus on Boba Fett and the other bounty hunters is way larger of a presence here than it is in the novel. And we don't get like those chapters. You don't get chapters in the book where like Boba Fett is hanging out on the ship and monologuing to Han Solo, frozen in carbonite. Like that's not in the book. And I found that to be pretty odd. I didn't like how talkative he was. He's really
that's fair.
talking a lot in this, and it's like, dude, just be killing guys. Just don't talk. It's okay to say one thing every now and then, but he's really monologuing and being like,
He's lonely, man. He wants to talk. He's just talking to little Han Solo and Carbonite, man.
you're the perfect piece of art, a masterpiece, not dead but not alive, frozen in time. And I was like, what? That I don't know. I don't think Boba Fett would talk like that, but
you are convincing me a little bit. I do see he has been way more stoic in the past and more sort of just like dropping one sentence or one word here and there and stuff, or like one cool line. So I do see that.
He's worth
I guess
a
it
lot
is weird
to me. That's how he talks.
It is. I'm curious because I know there's a show in the future called Book of Boba Fett. I don't know if that is actually like, I don't know if that deals with actually Boba Fett or like something else that happens. Like I don't know what the Book of Boba Fett is. I'm curious
diary.
like how they characterize him there. What was that?
It's his diary.
Oh, Diary of a Boba Fett.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Does he get the Wampa touch?
yeah, nice. And like he keeps convincing IG-88 to like go down the hill on the swoop bike and like throw a thermal detonator at him. And then IG-88 like crashes off and his arm falls off, and all the other bounty hunters are giving him a lot of attention at the cantina. And so Boba Fett like puts his arm in a sling. You remember that?
Yeah. No, I don't remember that.
Big part of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, bro. Where he's like throwing the football at Rowley on the tricycle or whatever.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. I was like, I really don't remember this moment from the comic. What are you talking about?
No, just Diary of a Wimpy Kid moment.
This is by the way, I just want to say this is the third time I've talked about Diary and the Wimpy Kid with people this week, and I don't know why this is happening.
That's funny. I feel like Roderick and the Loaded Diaper Band gets mentioned a lot around these parts. So yeah, I do really like seeing all the other bounty hunters get a little more play. We got
Plus hanging out with like Jabba's folks was cool too, you know?
Yeah. The swoop bike gang and Jix like getting himself involved with those guys. That was kind of cool. I mean, it's just
I disagree there a little bit. I think that part's a little silly when he just like is mean to them and like picking a fight with them, and it kind of just works out. They're like, oh, well, we respect that actually.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, wait a second. You guys would kick this person's ass though, realistically.
Yeah,
Like,
that is pretty dumb. But I kind of gotta love the thing of like, you know, this guy's a treacherous two-timing backstabber. You're gonna love him.
yeah, I do like, yeah, when he's vouching to Jabba, he's
Yeah.
like, trust me, he's a good guy. He's like, well, wait a second. Actually, he ain't, but that's why I like him.
I mean, it's pretty stupid, but I kind of like that sort of thing. But
Sure.
I agree. It's very silly for sure. But hey, we got Zuckuss and Forlom and IG-88 and Bosk all getting a lot more play in this,
Yeah.
which is, you know, it's cool. They're really, I don't know, they're not super developed or they don't really distinguish themselves from one another very much. They're just cool designs that I like seeing them in action, I guess. But
I like IG-88 a lot.
yeah, he's cool, and he's cool. A pretty like ominous force in the video game as well.
Yeah.
Uh, so let me just some other things about the comic, and this is a little bit of an issue that I have with the whole story of this, is that it really feels like we are kind of going in circles with the plot. And I think we've talked about this before with content dealing with the main characters in some of the comic books and things, that when you have these main characters, especially here where we know what happens in Return of the Jedi, we know where the main characters are going to be at the end of this story, that you need to like set up stakes beyond whether or not these main characters are going to live or die, beyond whether or not they're going to find Han Solo and get him from Boba Fett, because we know that they don't. We know how they get Han Solo. We know that Boba Fett successfully delivers him to Jabba the Hutt. Now, it is interesting to see the troubles along the way of that to an extent, but I think that the whole story of the book and the comic really revolves around like, oh my God, people are trying to kill Luke. And it's like, yeah, but they're not going to. Oh my God, we gotta get Han Solo from Boba Fett, but you're not going to, which is honestly, I think, a strength that the comic has over the book, is that they focus on Boba Fett's struggles of getting him to Jabba the Hutt, whereas in the book, it's really focused on Leia and Lando's struggles of getting Han Solo from Boba Fett, which is like, well, we know that that doesn't happen. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's cool to introduce new characters like Shizor and Dash Rendar. We don't know if they're going to live or die, I guess, while the story's going on. But I don't know. There's too much focus on like, oh my God, are they going to kill Luke? Like, obviously not. So, and I don't think it manages to make itself that compelling beyond that. And so much of the story is going in circles of like, oh, we almost got Han Solo from Boba Fett, but we didn't. It's like, I know that you won't. I know that you're going to continue to not get him throughout the rest of this.
Yeah, I will say, thinking back on it, I do think the parts that I find most compelling were actually like the Jix parts where he's integrated with the gang and like, trying to figure out what is going on with this bounty. Like, why are they saying it's Vader who put this death hit on Luke now when I know that's not true because I'm working for Vader,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That was cool. And that is not focused on in the book really at all. Like, we know, because what is focused on is Shizor doing all of those plans. So we know like what his plans are while they're happening and everything. And also, like, sorry to Steve Perry, but like the prose is just not good enough to justify like reading it. You can really just read a plot summary of it, which I hate to say, like, that feels so dirty to say. Like, if you're super interested in this era of Star Wars, and like, it's not a horrible book, but I found it to be pretty tedious to read. And like, there's a lot of action in it, which is cool, but there's action that goes on for chapters, like dogfights and space battles and things like that. And it's like, it's not well written enough to be compelling.
Yeah.
Like there's that.
It almost sounds like, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What were you saying? I was gonna say, it almost sounds like reading the book would have like made the experience of the whole project a little bit worse, frankly, because not having read that, I feel like fairly satisfied by it. Like, I don't think it was anything special, but like I said, cool in between story of the movies, and I had fun with a lot of the moments of it.
Yeah, I think I agree that it has good moments. But it's strange what they dedicate pages to in the comic, I think, because that first issue has a lengthy like space battle with X-Wings and TIE fighters, and that really doesn't have anything to do with anything, but it goes on for like 8 pages. And I don't know, like same with like Boba Fett's action sequences. I think there's some really good individual panels and some really cool poses and character work, but I think like the beat by beat pacing of the action leaves a lot to be desired. And like, if a whole half of the issue is going to be an action sequence, like I'd like for it to be really cool, please.
Yeah, I think I've said my piece on like the comic book space battles before, but I think it's very hard to execute well. I can't recall like a time I've seen one where it was really good. Maybe I feel like there was one specific comic we called it out where it actually worked well for some reason.
The Rogue Squadron comic. Because that is the focus of that. It is the X-Wing pilots. So, can you hear the vacuum?
Oh, no, I can't. It's all right.
Okay.
So it was just all of a sudden you started glaring at me. And I was like, oh, no. What did I do now to upset Jackson?
You've ruined everything again. Now, let me look at my...
It's not working.
Okay, logic doesn't seem to really be picking it up too much. Okay, that's fine.
I'm trying to force choke you through the screen, but it's not.
I saw Vader do it through a screen one time, so apparently you're not as powerful.
No, you didn't feel a thing?
Nothing. Sorry.
Wait, let's try for real. Just I'm sorry, a brief little interlude here. I'm just gonna try my hardest to tap into the power of the Force. Okay. And try and force choke you, and you let me know if you feel anything in your neck or tingling, okay?
All right. Your sorcerer's ways.
Oh. Okay. I'm sorry. You good? It's hard when I'm doing that. It's hard to tell sort of the amount of pressure that I'm like using to. So I don't know what you were. I don't know if it was a little like sort of a caress or if it was like an iron grip on there.
It was I would say it was like a copper grip, like not quite iron.
Okay.
It's a softer metal. Yeah. Well, congratulations. Yeah, I mean, it did work though. That's a pretty big deal.
That's good. Yeah. I guess I'm force sensitive. Do you ever in your life feel like you can just predict things and then they actually do happen?
Has he done things that you can't explain?
Who?
Seeing things before they happen, moving things with his mind.
Yeah. Do you ever that ever happen to you?
Little prequel quotes there for you.
Hey, knock that off then. What are you doing? you animal. You know, people keep telling me, I've like had 3 conversations now with people being like, when they hear I haven't seen any of these movies, they're like, you gotta watch Rogue One. You gotta watch Rogue One. They keep telling me to watch Rogue One.
I can't get too into it, but the love for Rogue One pisses me off.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I'll say it. People like Rogue One.
I don't know why I got the sense you were the fan of it.
I don't hate it. But people just like it too much. And I think sorry to call people out, but I think when people say how much they love Rogue One, they're really only remembering like the last 30 minutes of the movie. And there's a whole other hour and a half before that, guys. A movie is not just one scene.
Okay, this is not really a spoiler question, but let me ask you this. Considering types of fans, would you say maybe it's probably much more casual fans who are enjoying that, and maybe a little more lore-focused fans are not enjoying that one for some reasons? Is that
I
what's
wish
going
I
on?
could say that, but I don't think that's true. I feel like some hardcore people really love Rogue One a lot.
Okay, interesting.
Which, hey, you know, if you like it a lot, like anybody listening, like I'm willing to hear an argument. And I don't think it's a crazy opinion to like it, but I just, you know, I always see these people ranking the movies on TikTok, and I should not watch these videos because they just make me angry. And there's no point in caring about what a random guy has ranked the Star Wars movies as. It's truly an unhealthy fixation to just continue to look at these videos, but I can't help myself and I gotta know. And I just hold out hope that I'll find one that, you know, I agree with. And I go, you get it.
Yeah.
But whenever I see someone put Rogue One above any of the original trilogy movies, I just turn it off immediately. It's like, and then if you know, rank the original trilogies above Rogue One, people in the comments will be like, blinded by nostalgia. It's like,
wow, really?
okay.
I'm fine. Maybe I got to watch the first movie again. So I'm going to like put a pause on my opinions for that one. But I find it very hard to believe there would be anything else that I'm going to like more than Empire Strikes Back. And what is the last one called?
Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
And Return of the Jedi. I find that hard to believe, but
yeah,
you know,
I would.
We'll see.
I mean, we'll see. There's. I mean, you already know that like Empire Strikes Back is my favorite thing, and I do like the originals better than pretty much anything else. But there's other stuff that gets pretty close for me, and so I could see it. I could see possibly you finding something that you like more, but
Sure.
we'll see. We'll see. And look, don't let me influence you about Rogue One. If we watch it and you love it, I won't be mad. I swear. It's just like people talk about it too much. I think that's all.
Hey man, clearly your influence is not so strong, because even when we started this thing, you know how I felt about episode 4.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your heart was breaking a little bit as I was saying all those mean things about it. Although I liked it, obviously.
I don't think it was mean. I think you had valid, good points about it. I like it when we disagree on something. I think it is more interesting discussion. So,
well, you're blinded by nostalgia. Nostalgia glasses.
I won't even get into the copper.
No. By the way, you could probably cut this, but since you were talking about those like lists that people made, I did an X-Men like ranking character tier list thing.
Yeah.
And that got like 3,000 views. So I want to do one again for the sake of like engagement and views, but also I don't want to do one again because people in the comments were so annoying. They were extremely annoying if I didn't put a character that they like loved, like Marrow or someone like in A tier, and I'd be like, I'm sorry, I don't care about Marrow at all. Like
yeah, people go crazy over that. I used to do that more on my TikTok, like, you know, ranking all of the Spider-Man movies or whatever, and people go insane. Like,
yeah, brings up the most annoying people.
I put Homecoming above the second Spider-Verse movie, and that set people off.
That's really funny.
I'm like, sorry, it's just my opinions about it.
I know. I know. Yeah, people were feeling like I prefaced, I was like, you know, I'm an aspiring X-Men expert, but I haven't read everything. You know, I'm not an X-Men expert really. And like one of the comments was like, I am an X-Men expert. I've read every single issue of X-Men, and you need to read more about Pixie if you think Pixie isn't like A tier.
Oh God. Dude, anyone who's read every issue of X-Men needs to probably do something else with their time.
I don't even believe them. There's like too much.
Yeah, for real.
It's like if you maintain a life and relationships and a job or anything like that, like there's no conceivable way that you've read every X-Men issue.
Yeah, like do you mean like every single mutant related title that ever came out, or what? Like what do you mean by that? There's just too many. Yeah, that's it brings people out of the woodwork, and I've had to resist commenting on videos like that myself when I see someone do something that I really disagree with, but because sometimes it pisses me off to see someone's opinion, and then I have to just remember that it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess I get that too. Like I said, I think I told you this before, but like whenever I see some people like the New Mutants movie, Anya Taylor-Joy Magic, oh God, and I've been seeing it so much lately, man, and I'm just like I want to leave a comment every time, and I just need to have a boilerplate like comment now that I just can copy and paste that's like explains everything that I hate about it and why they're wrong for liking it. But it's whatever, who cares?
That's me whenever I see people talking about how much they like Christopher Nolan on TikTok. I just start to boil up and just like,
here's everything you missed in Tenet and why it was a great film.
People talk about Interstellar so much on TikTok, it drives me insane.
Oh, that's my favorite Timothée Chalamet movie.
I mean, I might agree with you. I don't even hate the movie. It's a fine movie, but people really love it a lot. But anyway, yeah, okay. Like, does that really making you have an emotional reaction? Like, these are bad characters, okay? Whatever. All right, not.
I will say I do like Interstellar, but it's fun. It's funny how many people do like it. Yeah,
hey, it's okay. Like, many people that I care about a lot like Interstellar a lot, and I don't think that like you're an idiot if you like it or anything like that. It's just that I see consistently people putting it in like the best science fiction movies of all time and everything. And I'm like, just you probably got to just watch more movies, man. Like,
sure. By the way, last thing before we can get back to Star Wars, I promise. I saw the TV Glow. Did you like that movie?
Yes.
I couldn't get a sense from your. Okay, yeah.
Did you?
I really loved it.
Yeah,
it was like one of my favorite horror movies I've seen this year, and we did Spooky Octuki, man. There's some good stuff there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really liked it a lot. Oh yeah, I actually did want to talk about that with you on the podcast because it very minorly relates to Star Wars, but obviously that movie really cool, deals a lot with gender identity issues and things that I personally don't feel qualified to talk about really.
Sure.
At least on something that is going out to the public, but handled in as, at least as far as I can tell, a very interesting way that was compelling to me. But I think the thing that I really could relate to in the movie that was a super specific feeling that I've not really seen captured in that way in other things, at least that I've seen, is that like painful desire to have something that is not real be real, like, and feeling that thing of just thinking that real life is like so boring and just wishing so hard that this fake thing was real. And like, that's something that obviously when I was younger, I felt a lot stronger about with like Star Wars, Pokemon, Spider-Man, all this stuff. But even now, like that movie did a good job of making me feel that way again, of like, man, like you just want so badly for this thing to be real that you can almost convince yourself that it might be real. And And that
Yeah.
was a cool aspect of it that I don't think I've seen in any other movie, at least.
As I was watching it, did you lose me? Did I
Ooh.
cut out here?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's really quiet. Oh, now you froze. I don't know if you can hear me anymore.
Okay, cool. All right, I think I'm good now.
All right. Yeah, so that was all I had to say about that movie. I just think it did a good job of capturing that feeling.
Yeah, also the just like the horror of like wasting your life also was like really that was getting to me in that film, and I was like, oh man, it's like it makes it feel so incredibly easy just for like moments to slip away, and then before you know it, like you're a complete waste of potential, all the potential that you had, and like the exuberance of your youth and stuff. Scary on a visceral level,
For real.
you know?
Yeah, I
Uh,
I agree.
do you think we should though bury ourselves alive and then maybe we'll end up in the Star Wars universe?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yay.
I forgot that was part of it, but yeah.
It was really, God, dude, the visuals of that movie also, I was like, okay, PG-13 horror movie. I'm down. This probably be chill. And it was like pretty, some of the visuals were like, have stayed in my head.
Yeah, dude, I forget the name of the main bad guy, like the Moon Man.
Mr. Mayhem.
Mr. Mayhem, yeah. Dude, the part where it's like a close up of his face and that's like very scary.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I straight up had a nightmare after watching that film, and I was like, "Why'd I have a nightmare?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember what I watched last night." Yeah, okay.
It's just like truly a hard thing to look at, but in a really cool way.
Yeah,
and I like those
also like
twins too, the Moon twins or whatever.
Yeah, doing their little the lunar juice and like spitting up the lunar juice also was like very gross for me.
Yeah.
I was like, God, that looks like I don't know what it was, like clay water or something, but disgusting.
Looks like blue milk. Yeah, bringing it all back.
Superman milk.
Blue milk.
Yeah, with a little bit of slice of Diane pie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's a good movie. I'm glad you liked it. It's cool. I'd like to see what else that director does.
Was that a debut film from them?
No, I think it was a theatrical debut, but they have another movie. I forget. My friend told me it was like reminded them of Skinamarink. I don't know if you saw that one.
No, but I want to. The premise sounds interesting to me, but also I don't know. Someone told me like, oh, they're like, oh, you know the premise? Well, it's not going to be enjoyable for you anymore. I was like, I don't know if that's going to be true.
I had always like almost watched it and then thought like, what if this is going to be really boring? And then I never did. And then I was hanging out with my friend and he wanted to watch it. And I was like, okay, well, I've wanted to watch it. And this is a good excuse to just watch it. And it's slow, but I didn't find it boring. I found it to be very scary and pretty interesting.
Okay, cool. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely like smoke up a little bit before you watch it kind of movie, but I guess that's pretty much all movies for me. But
we don't condone drugs here on the Becker's Canyon Boys podcast, FYI.
Death sticks.
What's that?
Death sticks.
Oh yeah. What's the drug of choice in the Star Wars universe? Is there one that we ever see them like?
It's death sticks.
Oh wait, that what is that?
It's it's another prequel thing.
Oh,
sorry.
I thought you were just like calling cigarettes death sticks.
No, I think
that's appropriate.
Yeah. It's a super minor thing in the prequels. This is certainly not a plot focus or anything, but
this guy dropping spoilers left and right today of the prequels. The man who's wants me to gets mad when I see Iron Studios drop like a statue of a prequels character, and now you're telling me all these minute details about it. Nah, dude, you're gonna get so force choked here if you continue. I'm just warning you.
I'm done. I'm
Okay.
done. I won't do it anymore.
Okay.
Well, oh God, I gotta stop doing that. Do you have any other comic book thoughts?
No, I don't. But also, I do want to. I may have lost the audio that I was recording when my computer completely shut down. So is your thing recording audio?
Uh, yes, my screen recording thing is capturing your audio as well. So, worst
Okay, I'll start
case,
it again.
we'll have that. I don't know how good quality it'll be, but
Okay, well, again, I'm so sorry about that.
no,
That's never happened. I don't know.
it's not your fault. It's fine.
If you wanna, it kind of. I think to be honest with you, I think me trying to use the force through the screen maybe did have an effect on the computer itself.
True. I
Uh,
mean, technology and the force kind of are combatants. So,
yeah. But yeah, nothing else on the comic. And uh, are we moving on to the Jinx comic?
sure. My last little thing, and it's not really even much of a thought, but I think it's pretty awesome when Leia and Chewie go undercover on Coruscant. Um, and we see that's where Leia gets the bounty hunter costume that she uses in Return of the Jedi. But also, Chewbacca is disguised as a bounty hunter as well. And
Yeah.
he gets a little haircut, little flat top, um, just straight up looking like Guile from Street Fighter. Pretty, pretty awesome to see Chewbacca with his hair buzzed like that.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is a Chewbacca moment that I like. The notorious Chewbacca hater enjoyed this little moment.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, he's just kind of around for the rest of it, though. Once again, doesn't really do too much.
But tell me the difference between that and every single Chewbacca appearance we've seen before this. He doesn't do anything.
That's why
ever.
I said once again. All right, let it go.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, let's quickly talk about that Jix comic, Shadow Stalker. So this came out like a year later, but it's a prequel. Just focusing on the guy we've mentioned, Jix. This is like an assassin for Darth Vader, or really a guy that kind of becomes another bodyguard for Luke. Just kind of cool to have like the good guys and the bad guys both trying to keep Luke alive.
Yeah.
But anyway, in this Jix comic, written by Ryder Wyndham, just sort of goes. It doesn't really show. Well, it kind of talks about how he met Vader, but it just shows him doing a mission for Vader and shows him being a badass. I don't know. What did you think about this issue?
Nah. Well, yeah. This is where we sort of were joking about earlier. We're like, he does all his killing and whatnot, cool stuff, and like breaking into places, but ultimately like plot centric. Pretty boring, I think. Like
So wordy.
God,
Holy crap.
yeah, I was gonna say there's at the end when he like explains everything again to Vader what just happened. I'm like, I just read all this. Like I understand. Can we not just cut and Vader knows already? Like, please, why do I have to read this all again? I could have just read those pages and probably been fine.
Yeah, for real. And it's not even like it's the next issue and they're recapping. It's one issue that presumably you're reading all in one sitting. But like the only thing I can think of is, it's like a 34-page issue. It's like an oversized comic. But even then, if you want to pad it out, you could have just taken one page and turned it into like 3 pages because of how many bubbles there were on each page. There was so much talking.
Oh, yeah. I know. Seriously.
I was like,
boring, really boring talking too. Like just expositional nonsense, really.
The plot is that he's going to go to this planet to I guess assassinate this governor that is gonna apparently defect to the rebels, but it turns out no, it's like that guy's daughter and her boyfriend who's like a imperial guy want to take power over the planet, so they're just framing him for defecting, and he's actually a good little Imperial soldier. And then there's like droid fake versions of the governor and his daughter. And that whole thing is really weird. The droid version of the daughter is like in love with Jix. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It was very like, I don't know. I guess I'm glad that it had more of a wrinkle to it than just him. Honestly, no, I'm not. I would say I think it would probably be a more compelling read if it truly was just him going to go assassinate this governor and there wasn't any more to it than that. And we just got to see him, sneak through Imperial guards and security systems and fight guys and then assassinate this guy in a cool, interesting way. Like, that's all you need. But they kind of add too many layers to it that just aren't really very interesting, don't really pan out to anything cool.
Oh, you mean you didn't like the moment when they were like, well, we can't kill him, so we'll send him to the dragon slug, which will eat all the evidence. You like that moment?
There's a weird, like, salamander looking thing in the...
Yeah, it doesn't run away from easily, kind of.
Yeah. Forgot about that part where there's a fire-breathing monster in there.
But see, even that, like, a lot of these things, I'm like, this just, like, doesn't make sense if you think about it for 1 second longer, because it's like, okay, you guys didn't want to shoot him because it was like, it'll get back to Vader that you shot him. But so you're going to feed him to your dragon slug, and that's better? Like, that won't, don't the people... If the people there were going to say something to Vader, wouldn't they also say something to Vader like, oh, yeah, he fed him to the dragon slug?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between shooting him or feeding him to the dragon slug?
For real. I can't remember. They maybe say something about how, like, oh, well, they won't find any evidence of your bodies if you're killed by the dragon slug. But that still doesn't make sense because you're literally in Star Wars where you could just go, you could kill someone, then take their body out into the middle of space and dump them there and no one would find it. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying, because, yeah, that is exactly what they say. They want to do it with this dragon slug. That feels so weird. Just it does not feel like a Star Wars name.
It's not real. It's just some bullshit for this individual issue. But
yeah, they want to feed him to the dragon slug to hide the evidence. But yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, well, you can just get rid of the body. Like, it's not...
You could just burn it.
I mean, if you shoot it out into space even, which is not a super clean way to do it, I think it's space is pretty expansive, and I think it's pretty rare that, like, Vader would come across that or someone,
Yeah, and I don't even know if he's gonna, like, dedicate his force energies to locating a dead body of a bodyguard that he could probably just find another one. Yeah. Well, it's kind of cool, the backstory for Jix, that I mean, I don't like the way that they tell us in the comic, but I do like the idea of it, where he said Vader was like trying to I'm not going to remember it well enough to tell it interestingly, but Vader was like trying to take over the planet that he was from and got really injured and was like going to die. And then Jix like saves Vader's life because he knows that if he doesn't do that, then like more soldiers will come and like destroy his home planet and everything. And so then, they kind of have this agreement where he's like, well, if you help me, I will just leave your planet alone. That's, it's something, I guess.
Oh, that's worth mentioning too, because it is kind of funny in the end when the governor's daughter's boyfriend, the traitor, gets caught and delivered to Vader. And I do like that Vader like gives him the lightsaber and is like, let's see if this works. And then it's like just Vader's gonna like a samurai battle, take this dude down. But he also, like, when he's like pleading for his life, Vader's like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny moment.
For real. Yeah, Vader's a little he says like some casual lines in this that don't feel really in character, but that's okay.
I was like, that feels very like modern language.
Mm-hmm.
Not that like they're really speaking in. I don't know. Vader's a little more formal than that, though.
Yeah,
but
a lot of characters speak
so funny
in modern casual language, but I don't think he does.
Yeah,
it's okay. It has some good action in it, but yeah, honestly, like if you are someone listening and you want to check it out, like just skim through it. Like, do not read everything. It's not, you'll get nothing out of reading all the words from it.
you'll also get like the plot like 3 times. It's like I don't
Exactly.
know. I understand to some degree like writers do that. It's like we're underlining an important element or something, so we're gonna mention it 3 times, but not the entire plot. Like you don't need to expositionally dump it 3 times in one comic. Like I'm in the same comic. Like you said, it's not even this is one issue.
Yeah.
It's not like I forgot and like a week or a month pass or something.
And just
But yeah,
visually on the page, like the bloat of the bubbles just makes me be like, oh my God, I don't want to read this, but I'm going to. But I know that it's not going to be worth it. And I know that once I read it, I'm going to be like, why did I do that? But I'm going to
yeah.
anyway. Um, yeah, not great. Well, shall we move on to the video game?
Yes, yeah, man. What an introduction level in this game
Oh
too, by
yeah.
the way.
Oh yeah. The great first impression for the game. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, well, I would love to hear your thoughts. How far did you get? What did you think about it? Did you actually play it on the N64?
No, I wasn't able to get it on N64, so I just emulated it and used my PS5 controller, which did create some like issues with the mapping, and I had to like switch it a few times, and even like switch it there, go into the options and switch their own controller interface to the less traditional control
Hmm.
options. I don't know if you saw that was like an option you
Yeah,
could switch.
yeah.
Um, Pretty fun, I will say, when I had a vehicle or a spaceship or
Yeah.
something. Aside from that, like I was a little bored by when I was like in third person, like walking around places mode for a lot of the levels. There are cool ones. So this is how far I got, which I think is pretty close to the end, but I kept dying here and I was like, I can't get past this. Um, it was what are they called? Dagobas?
Oh, Dianogas.
Dagobah? Dianoga. Yeah, the Dianoga kept killing me. I just could not. It was like a control issue down there, and I could not figure out how to like fix it on my control. So I would just die from it every single
Like
time.
the big boss Dianoga at the end of that
Yes.
level underneath
Yeah.
Shizor's palace. Yeah. That is
Yeah.
pretty close to the end. I think there's maybe like two more levels after that.
Yeah. So I just watched those two afterwards. But yeah, pretty fun. Like I said, I like all the space um stuff was really fun for me. And like I feel like I was able to adapt to the controls pretty easily there. Um yeah. Oh, it's fun. Yeah, I like seeing. I did like seeing the, like in crazy amount of wampas.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently the rebels
Think
just
about-
had like 10 wampas in cages on Echo Base, but
yeah, the IG-88 fight was cool. That level I think is like the best of the third person levels or whatever.
is
You
that the
know?
one where you're riding on the train? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really cool.
it looks like awesome too for an N64 game. I think.
Yeah, for real. I mean, that's really impressive to have such a big like rolling environment where it's like the background keeps changing throughout the whole thing. I mean, I'm sure there's some trick with it and you couldn't actually like walk around on that part of the level, but it visually really nice. And yeah, I agree. Like when I was playing the game, I got to that point, I was very excited about the game because you have your first level where you're in the snow speeder, then you have your on the ground level, and then I think that's like maybe the next level is the train. Let me see.
I'm not sure. Forget the train comes before you like chase down the swoop gang, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that part was annoying as hell too.
Yeah. Oh, there's like yeah, yeah. I mean, you have one level where you're in the Outrider shooting TIE fighters before the junkyard part, but
Yeah.
but that was yeah, pretty much the next level after Echo Base.
Yeah. Well, what was your favorite level in the whole game? What made you feel like you were most embodying the Star Wars experience?
Definitely the first level.
Yeah.
The sounds, the music, the first person view inside the cockpit of the snowspeeder, going around and tying up the walker legs with the cable. Like I was cheering at my computer, like I was talking to myself. It was pretty pathetic, honestly. A watch that crossfire, boys, and stuff like that. Lot of, yeah, talking like, "Hoo-ah, that got him."
Yeah, your action clips.
Yeah.
No, but it was, and I was pretty impressed by that whole level. I mean, obviously it's N64, and so I'm considering the context of the time. But like even so the hitbox for the AT-ATs, those are the huge ones, right?
Yeah,
AT-AT. I was like, oh, I bet I probably can't like swing under their legs and like swoop through them, but you can, and it doesn't like you don't just crash immediately. So like the hitbox is like well laid out.
Yeah, and it's
So
moving
it
with
felt
the
awesome.
legs too. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a amazing opening to the game. Like, so fun. Unfortunately, it does not get better than that, I think. However,
Yeah, I agree.
the developers of this game really liked that level as well, and that would prompt them to make the Rogue Squadron video game, which is essentially just a bunch of levels like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And really fun game. Yeah, the walking around levels are pretty hit or miss and get sort of frustrating. Like you said, like the control scheme is very outdated. Um, just the way that like shooting works is pretty clunky. But like I did figure out a way where if you do the lock on, like it's not a lock onto an enemy, but it's a camera lock. If you get your shot lined up and then you hold the camera lock and then just shoot, like it'll just laser beam guys like directly.
Oh, yeah. I also recognize that like mapping it to a PS5 control is a little strange because like N64 had like a weird control in and of itself.
Yeah.
Um,
I had to put
like even in that first level to do the hook, actually, like I needed to do the trigger that I forgot was like there was a third trigger under the
yeah, the
N64
Z button,
control.
bro.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I didn't map that. So I was like, okay, I gotta go back and do that, I guess. Just like weird stuff like that.
Yeah, I mapped like because they have the C buttons, the yellow directionals on there. So I had it where like square and X were A and B, and then triangle and circle were the left and bottom of the C buttons, and then right bumper and right trigger were the top two things of the C buttons.
Oh, okay. I see.
And that
Yeah.
worked okay for me. I do think it's super impressive building these levels on such limited hardware. Like, I don't know, anytime I hear people talking about designing games for the N64, it seems like an absolute nightmare with how limited amount of space there was on those cartridges. Um, so, I guess it's not too much of a positive of the game, but it's just very impressive that they fit this whole game onto this cartridge and created these big 3D environments. And I've heard it described as like like chiseling out from the inside of a block. With the AutoCAD was the program that they were using for like the first Dark Forces game and other things to make level design, and then for this one they're using like a combo of AutoCAD and some other 3D modeling thing. Like I don't even know. I don't really know how this stuff works, but impressive for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure as like a Star Wars fan at the time, this game would have been like pretty spectacular to play.
Oh yeah.
And as we've talked about, like a lot of these games probably rely a lot on their first mission to sell the thing. And as we were saying, that first mission, like kind of a Star Wars fan dream. I know we were like when we watched Empire Strikes Back immediately after, I think we were talking about like, man, it'd be so cool to like play something where you get to experience that battle. And I'm sure that's going to continue. I'm sure there's other variations of that opening down the line
Yeah.
potentially.
For sure. And I mean, it's cool because we've already had like something of a version of it in the Rebel Assault games. I mean, that was a much more on rails thing, but yeah, I mean, I agree. Like when this came out, if you were a kid, it would probably be amazing. And I do think it's worth noting that, this is the first Star Wars game for the N64. Obviously not really the first console Star Wars game. We had the Super Star Wars things and the Atari things and stuff, but it's the first 3D console Star Wars game. So that's, an achievement in and of itself, I guess.
Do you know what comes next after this in regard to gaming?
I do. We have Dark Forces 2, bro. Jedi Knight, Dark Forces 2. Dude, I just beat that game over while I was home with my family. It's really good. It's really, really good.
Okay, I'm excited. Is that one I can grab on PS5?
No.
I gotta emulate it too? Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a little involved if you want to emulate it because it's a PC only game on Steam and you have to download like the Mac source port for it and stuff.
Okay. I guess I won't be playing this one.
Yeah. I can tell you how to do it if you want, but I think I mentioned to you I had to get like the Steam command version where I went into terminal and tricked my Steam into thinking it was running on Windows so I could download the files, and then it's not.
Oh, that's the one you were talking about this for. Okay. Yeah.
It's not that hard, but I totally get it if that's just like too much of a barrier to entry. That's no judgment, but
yeah.
I do. Well, we're not talking about that game yet, so.
Sorry, jump ahead. Just curious because the games do excite me a little bit. I like fulfilling my Star Wars power fantasies.
No, it totally no problem from you. I was just about to get into things that I liked about the game, and I was like, I'll save that for later. But I guess Kyle Katarn is back in that one. And that's something that I think is kind of funny is that we have Kyle Katarn and Dash Rendar. They are extremely similar.
They should fight for the title.
For real.
Of Han Solo villain.
Yeah. Like they are just down to their costumes. They are really similar. Their attitudes, their lack of really development, at least in their first appearances here.
I wasn't paying too much attention. You could have told me like this game was or the last game was Dash, and I would be like, okay,
yeah, for real. I mean, they literally are both like, I don't know, I'll do it if the price is right, but I don't care. Like that's they're the same person in the first. I would say Kyle Katarn goes on to be developed more than Dash Rendar does.
Spoiler, this guy's dropping spoilers. Now I know Kyle Katarn doesn't die like Dash does, even though Dash doesn't die.
Well, I was just telling you that Kyle Katarn is the main character of the next game that we're gonna play too.
La 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 la. I'm plugging my ears, but I have headphones on, so I'm just pushing my headphones further into my ears so I can hear you even better. La 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 la. The game is.
I guess the most memorable things about the game are like the boss fights beyond the opening level. And then, that one swoop bike level as well, which was pretty annoying to me at first. I didn't realize you actually had to kill all of them. I thought you were just trying to beat them to Obi-Wan's house, which is awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense though. Yeah.
We get to run through Beggar's Canyon in this. That was cool.
Yeah.
And those things are fast too. Like it could go
so fast, and you just crash into like the sides of like. I was not maneuvering those well. That was an annoying level. For me.
No, me too, for sure. But then we got
threading the needle and whatnot. Yeah,
it's cool in theory. Like I like that idea for a level, but the controls for the speeder are just too crazy.
If it felt more fluid, I think it'd be fine. But that's what are you gonna do?
But I do really like the 3D rendering of Mos Eisley and like the progress of that level, like rolling from the city out to the Dune Sea, out to the canyon, out to finally getting to Obi-Wan's house. Like that's really nice and satisfying, I think.
And Luke looks cool with his hood there also.
Yes. Yeah, he does.
That's the first time we see him in that getup, right?
I think so. And I mean, Luke for this whole thing had a design that was supposed to be like a transitionary design between the movies, which I think is well executed. And they essentially have him in all black, but with that padded tan vest over him. Some great shots in the comic of him like hitting poses with the lightsaber and stuff that look really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. The boss fights though, we fight IG-88 like we mentioned. We do fight Boba Fett and the Slave One. Later we fight the security droid that was the most frustrating part of the whole game for me. That was like, yeah,
That was the gladiator fight.
yes, the
I
gladiator
didn't get to
droid.
that.
Yes.
That's the one?
Mm-hmm. Where
Oh, okay.
he like starts out as the whole body, then like by the end of it, you're just fighting his head that's floating around. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that was after that's in like the second to last level.
Yeah.
So that I didn't get to that guy. But as I was looking at that, I was like, I think I'd get stuck here too.
I got stuck there for a while. I would like quit out of it and then be like, okay, I'm gonna try to play the game again, forgetting like exactly where I was, and then load it up and be like, God damn it. Okay. But there are ways to cheese like pretty much all the bosses. If you can just find like a place in the geometry where they're just gonna shoot like right over your head and not move, and then you can just spam stuff, and like that's how I had to beat most of the bosses. The Slave One in particular was pretty tough for a while until I just figured out like, oh, you just strafe behind it forever and get in like 2 or 3 shots when you can.
Yeah, I will say, not a super easy game. What difficulty were you playing on?
I think just normal. I didn't want to put it up to the hard one because there's also no level checkpoints, and if you die, you start the whole level over. So
Yeah, I threw medium on too, but I considered doing easy even. I was like, I want to get through the game. So
yeah, me too.
you know,
I started
I
at
did
hard,
medium.
and then after a few tries of the first level, I was like, I'm trying to beat this whole thing for a podcast. Like, I just gotta
Yeah.
make it easy.
Yeah.
But I mean, cool like art direction, and it's it's a basic thing, but it is, at least to me, very satisfying to see 3D models of all of these guys moving around. Snow troopers look awesome in the first boots on the ground level where you're going around Echo Base. And I like the idea of being able to take down ATSTs as just a guy. Like, makes him feel very powerful.
There was a few like a few rooms where just be like, okay, now you fight an ATST.
Mhm.
Like they did that multiple times. And I was like, okay, I guess.
This game also made me very familiar with some of the more in between pieces of music from Star Wars, I guess, that aren't necessarily like big themes that are super recognizable off the top of your head, but the one song that kept playing over and over again is the one that's like over and over again.
Man, like, yeah, I didn't have my ear attuned to this stuff. I need to start taking in the totality of everything, the music too.
Yeah, over and over again.
Really good. Can you do the rest?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I get why they're just pretty much using John Williams music. Oh, I mean, full like MP3 file of the orchestration too. It's not like a MIDI version of it, which maybe is the first time we've seen that. Maybe, I don't know. I get why they want to use it because the music's awesome, and like you've just already got that amazing resource there. But there is a part of me that is like, well, these songs are score to a movie, which are not really just like things that you can copy and paste onto something else, because the score is so specifically timed up to the pacing of the edit of the movie. And like,
Yeah.
I'm happy to listen to these songs and I get it, but I don't know. I'm glad that at least nowadays they do make like original music for the games.
Spoiler.
And they're not as good as the music from the movies, but hey, they're trying.
Man, I keep going on the PlayStation Store and seeing like the Redhead Jedi games.
Oh,
That guy,
Cal
whatever that's
Kestis,
called.
yeah, the Jedi
Yeah,
Survivor. Yep.
I keep seeing them on sale, and I'm like, I'm so tempted because it looks so cool,
Man,
but I know I can't. I know I can't.
those games have their haters, but I quite like them.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like I keep seeing a lot of Star Wars games all of a sudden now, like popping up all over the place.
Well, there's been a company that's remastering a lot of old games, and there's one from the PS1 and Dreamcast called Jedi Power Battles that we will get to pretty soon.
Oh, I saw that too. Yeah, but because it's got Samuel L. Jackson on the cover, right?
And then like,
Or that might have been Power Battles 2. I don't know. Is there two of them?
no, there's just one. The remaster of it is coming out in like 12 days though, so there's been a lot of marketing for it.
That's probably what I saw.
Yeah. Who the hell are you talking about though? Samuel L. Jackson is not in anything I've seen.
Mr. Mace Windu.
Bruh. Whatever.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know if he's a. I assume he's probably a Jedi, right?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't even remember.
I read everything in your face right there. I just read the whole plot of the movie in your face right there. You gotta have a better poker face, man.
I can't wait. We have to, in the episode before we watch The Phantom Menace, we have to do another like predictions summary, like a plot summary prediction from you, because I'd really like to know.
I started writing one down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, video game, cool, but old and frustrating.
Sure, yeah.
Any other thoughts from yourself?
No, I'm excited. We're getting closer to the prequel stuff where we're getting to the point where I was born and became a beautiful light in this world. So I'm sure everything will get much better.
Hey, Shadow Stalker, the one-off issue came out in '97, so we're already in to your birth year.
There you go. What month, you know?
I don't remember.
Okay. Jesus.
Guess
I'll have to find out myself.
Oh, I guess what did you think about Shizor as a villain? Because I feel like from the comics and the video game, he is not in it very much. Other than, of course, that one sequence we're talking about with Leia is kind of his big feature in the comic book. But in the book, I think he's a huge he's in almost every chapter.
Yeah, maybe the book will affect how you perceive it, but like I kind of said when I was sort of voicing my complaints with his relationship with Palpatine and how that's played out, I think he's a dumb villain to have in this. Like, it doesn't. I don't know what else you would do or how you would change it without him as like a central piece, or how you could like characterize it better so it feels I don't know, more realistic, I guess. But just like, he feels like a little larger than life, but not in a good way, and not in a satisfying way. And I don't know, he's not even that big a threat. Because like you said, I didn't see him even that much, really. And when he pops up, it's just like, he's just like being slimy and weird and like just like talking about his plot. But we never really see him be super villainous or anything even,
Yeah, I agree. Is definitely a little better in the book, and I would say one of the stronger parts of the book is his characterization, although it's not perfect, because I totally agree with you that he's a little too larger than life, where it feels a little hokey, and like even in the book they never really justify why the Emperor is listening to him so much. However, there are just cool specifics about him in the book that I like. he is, like just this hedonistic, lazy monster. Um, and they just really play into it more in the book, where they talk about how he has like his favorite restaurant that he goes to, and people are on the wait list for years for this place, but if he goes, he can get a table no matter what. And like people get pissed off, they see him coming in and getting taken to a table, and they get all pissed, like, well, why does that guy get a table? And then like he also has a thing, some device that he puts on that like works his muscles for him so that he can be strong, but he doesn't have to work out. And like, there's
Okay.
a scene where he's just lying down talking to Guri, his like robot friend, and the thing is just like contracting his muscles. It's like a massager, but it's just building muscles on him, which that kind of plays into a cool aspect of a villain, where like he wants to be strong, but he's too lazy to actually do the work himself and stuff.
I feel like those elements are not super present in the comic at all,
No.
really. So maybe I would have liked that better, because that does sound kind of fun. Also, I think you talking about him like getting a seat at the restaurant, just like where I'm like superimposing Shizor's face onto the guy from Goodfellas when he like walks into the restaurant on that date, and like the one guy's like, "Hey, why can't I get a seat?" And they're like setting up the seat for him right in front of like the trumpet player comedian dude.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking of.
I mean, that's pretty much like what the scene is in the book too. So it's fun. It's more, more just kind of fun bad guy characterization in that it's still a little over the top. It's very on the nose. There's no nuance to him at all. He's just bad. He's evil and slimy and lazy and hedonistic, and just all bad traits. He's smart, I guess, is the one good trait, but and he's really
Is he?
good at martial arts in the book as well. He fights.
Oh, okay.
There's an attempt on
Well,
his
that requires
life.
some training.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing that is a little contradictory about it, is even in that scene where he's having the muscle thing work on him, he thinks like he never really had much interest in working out, except for the martial arts training that he does all the time. But other than that,
Yeah.
like, he's lazy.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Did you listen to the soundtrack?
No, I didn't.
Bro.
It was not on the list, man. It was not.
You're right. You're so.
And that's on you.
You're correct.
You put the pop-up book on the list.
Okay.
But not the soundtrack.
So
I read that battle scene with IG-88 twice because of you. I was like, surely something will change.
Okay, well, look, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. I'm not perfect, okay? We're all luminous beings. I was just trying to say how we're all connected through the Force, and you just proved it.
No, that's
right
beautiful.
There.
Oh yeah, wow.
But yeah, just real quick, this guy Joel McNeely is the composer, and it's pretty good, not super memorable, certainly not like John Williams levels, but I do think that that's cool that they did that, and they had like this interactive CD-ROM that they put out where it would play the music while you're looking at like concept art from the trading cards and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Did you take a look at the trading cards? Were they pretty cool?
Yeah. I can here, we'll share this screen again.
Yeah, I imagine it's sort of more like portrait style art. Is that the case or no?
Some of it. Okay. Can you see this?
Yes. Well, it's loading. Like, yes. Oh, okay.
So we got a lot of stuff here. This art was done by Greg and Tim Hildebrandt, and it's pretty cool.
Dude, we got to open a pack on the podcast.
Chewbacca with the flat top. Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
We should. I wonder how expensive these would be to get. Look, there's
me too.
Coruscant. I mean, come on.
Oh, that's beautiful, actually. I like that a lot.
Me too. And then you
I
got
want to live there.
some battles. Like these are nice pieces of art here for sure.
Yeah.
Don't look at the ad below there.
That's, that's the quickest way to draw my attention to it.
Don't look at it, I said. Don't
I don't
look.
like.
You don't know
I
who
don't like to listen
Shriek
to you.
and the Shriek trainers are. You don't.
Shriek Hawk.
Yeah. So there you go. There's some trading cards for you.
All right. Oh, look, you can get one for $10 on eBay.
A pack.
That's pretty good. Yeah, unopened.
Maybe I'll get that. We'll open it up next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have any more to say about Shadows of the Empire. Great idea. Execution leaves a little bit to be desired in pretty much all the aspects of it. I think maybe the trading cards are the most issue-free part of it, but
yeah, that's kind of hard to mess up, I'd say.
Yeah, well, the art is really cool and kind of makes these moments from the story feel big and important. Yeah. I don't know. Anything else?
No, nothing from me. I got to force choke you a bunch today. We got to talk some comics, video games. It was a great time, man.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I did too. And I am excited for our next episode, episode 20. This will be a return to Tales of the Jedi comic books. We've got
I'm thrilled already.
More Kevin J. Anderson written Tales of the Jedi. This is the Golden Age of the Sith, issues 0 through 5. This was at the time when tons of publishers were starting to make issue number 0 for stuff.
Yeah. That leaves a bad taste in my mouth, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because I really liked everything that came before.
Me too. I think it's just a 6-issue miniseries and it's just numbered 0 through 5 because of publishing things. It's not really reflective on the work. But then we've also got 2 Boba Fett one-off comics, also written by freaking John Wagner.
Okay, very nice. A little more Boba Fett action. Hopefully he'll be cool.
Then we got a video game called Yoda Stories. This is a game that you probably are only going to want to play for 15 minutes. It's like a browser game or a DOS game. I don't know. There was a Game Boy Color port of it, but it's not that. Don't even play that one.
Okay.
But you can just look up like Yoda Stories play online. And you can play it in your browser. Just play it for like 5-10 minutes to see what it is, and you'll get the idea.
Okay, Yoda Stories. When is it set?
It's not really in canon or anything. It's just, I would say, loosely between episode 5 and 6, same as this, but not really following any kind of actual story.
Okay.
And then there's some pop-up books too, some more pop-up books that I did put on the list, but maybe if we can find videos of those. And then there's also Galaxy of Fear, which we don't need to read these books, but there are some junior novels created as a response to Goosebumps of all things. It is some Star Wars children's horror books.
Wait a second. That sounds super fascinating to me. I don't know if I've ever told you this. I'm a huge Goosebumps fan. I used to I just didn't do it this year. This year, I think every fall, I will rewatch every episode of the Goosebumps TV show just because I think they're so fun and campy. And I used to love reading the books.
I think we've maybe talked about it before, but I didn't know. I didn't know it was like that. That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never read these. I don't know if they're good, but the covers are cool. Similar art style to like Goosebumps covers and everything. Like they're totally just trying to do Star Wars Goosebumps with this. So
That's cool.
Yeah. That's what we got. And then the one after that, special editions, very scary episode. We'll see how everybody feels about that when we get there.
Oh, the different cuts of the original movies.
Yes, this will be when we rewatch the original trilogy.
Wow. Okay. That's exciting. Wow. We're getting close to prequels. We're getting there.
We're getting real close. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes away from the prequels.
In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah, bring it all full circle.
Okay.
Well, great talking with you as always.
Yeah, and let's do our signature sign off that we always do that people don't ever get to see.
May the force be with you, Commander.
And with you.